The Law and You, a look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer panel P.R Campbell QC and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, greetings. Welcome to another presentation in this public service nation building series, The Law and You. This is program number 911. Coming to you on Monday, the 27th of August, 2018. On this program, I will speak to you on the topic Studying Abroad Part 2. But before getting into the topic, a few preliminary remarks. Firstly, and as usual, my condolences go out to all families which have suffered recent bereavements. Secondly, as I intimated last week, and as you would have seen in the newspapers, at least in two of them, and you have heard on television and radio, this week is a very important week in the debate on the Caribbean Court of Justice, because St. Vincent will be having the president of the CCJ, His Lordship Justice Adrian Saunders of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, coming here for a series of discussions. He will be having a radio discussion on Wednesday morning this week on Nice Radio, and on Wednesday evening, beginning at 7 o'clock, His Lordship will be at French's house for a town hall meeting. Now, a town hall meeting, as you know, is a gathering of persons who go mainly to discuss a matter. It's not just a lecture. A lecture is normally when somebody comes and gives a speech and may take 1 or 2 questions. This town hall meeting is meant to be a session where you will have 2 main addresses, one from Dr. Cheltenham, learned Queen's Counsel from Barbados, and the main feature address will come from the President, Justice Adrian Saunders himself, explaining about the CCJ, followed by a question and answer period. Now, that session on Wednesday evening at French's house will be broadcast live on NBC Radio 705, on Nice Radio, and as I understand it, on Star FM, and I think any other radio station that wishes to carry the live broadcast will be welcome to do so. That meeting is sponsored mainly by the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Bar Association, and I want to thank the learned President of the Bar, Ms. Reina Batiste, Honorable Reina Batiste, CMG, for the instrumentality of the Bar Association in organizing that event. And then, as I understand it, on Thursday and Friday, Justice Saunders will be meeting various groupings and their executives of various organizations. And I understand organizations which would want to participate can simply get in touch with Ms. Batiste or any other member of the Bar Executive tomorrow, Tuesday, and arrangements would be made for Justice Saunders to visit with your executive and field questions about the CCJ. I think it is extremely important that those who have an interest in the future of the legal system in St. Vincent and the Grenadines should make it their business, if they can't attend the town hall meeting, at least to tune into one of the radio stations which will be carrying the live broadcast. And I understand the program would be streamed as well for coverage on the internet. by both Mr. Cap Balcom and Nice Radio. The reason why I say it's important is that whenever there is a topical issue being subject to public debate, that issue should be approached from a point of view of someone wanting to learn as much as possible about the issue so as to be able to make a reasoned decision. There are people who say they do not support the CCJ. They are entitled to that point of view, because this is a democratic society where we have freedom of expression, and the person is entitled to believe what they want to believe or not to believe what they do not want to believe. But where I find difficulty in understanding some persons is that they take a position, yet they cannot give the reasons why they take that position. So I don't mind somebody saying to me, PR, I am not in favor of the CCJ. Okay. But I want to hear you tell me why. What are the reasons you have for taking that point of view? And if I ask you, okay, you don't support it, why you don't support the CCJ? What are your reasons? You can't just tell me you don't have any reasons or you're not giving me any reasons. I would feel that you're being unfair. Because if you have a position on an issue, you should be able to say why you hold that position. So don't just tell me, oh, you don't believe in the CCJ. Give me facts and figures. Tell me why. Explain to me the logic behind the belief you hold. In order for you to understand an institution, you have to read all there is to be read, all that you can put your hands on, or listen to persons speak about the institution, persons who have knowledge and information. And this is why I think it is extremely important that citizens pay attention to the visit of Justice Saunders and to what is said in that visit. If you don't want the CCJ, by all means come along to the town hall meeting, express your point of view, and tell Justice Saunders why you don't support the CCJ. Perhaps he may have things to tell you that you probably haven't heard before. He may or may not make you change your mind, but at least you would be better informed so that you can stand up and say, I don't support the CCJ because of A, B, C, and D. Or I support the CCJ because of A, B, C, and D. So I am looking forward with bated breath to the visit of Justice Saunders this week. And I hope the critics of the CCJ would come out and put their points to the learned gentleman and hear what he has to say about it. And it is not enough for us to simply say we don't want it. Let the public hear you say why you don't want it. Now, I read you a paragraph from a judgment delivered on the 16th of August in the Privy Council. And I promised to reread it. And here I go again. For those of you who are interested, it is the Privy Council's website, case number 23 of 2018 UKPC 23. It's called the Honorable Chief Justice of Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Justice Ivor Archie, versus the Law Association of Trinidad and Tobago. And this is what the Privy Council had to say in paragraph 37. Quote, "The local courts in Trinidad and Tobago are far better placed than is the Privy Council to consider what the fair-minded and informed observer in Trinidad and Tobago would make of the matters complained of. It is not for the Privy Council to disagree. This ground of appeal must therefore fail." So here is the Privy Council itself agreeing with the Trinidad and Tobago Court of Appeal on a certain issue which came before the Privy Council. And in agreeing with the Trinidad and Tobago Court of Appeal, the Privy Council said, look, the local courts in Trinidad and Tobago are far better placed to decide what the informed observer in Trinidad and Tobago would make of the matters complained of. And if the local courts are of one view, it is not for the Privy Council to disagree with the local courts. That is what they are saying in this judgment. Now, let me say finally on this topic at this time, those of us who have taken the time to read some of the judgments of the CCJ in its appellate jurisdiction would be left in no doubt as to the scholarship of the CCJ, and above all, as to the integrity of the CCJ judges. The CCJ has a website. If you want to find it, just Google Caribbean Court of Justice and then go on to the topic judgments in its appellate jurisdiction. You'll be able to see all the judgments in its original jurisdiction, which it delivered from 2005 until a few weeks ago. But more importantly, you would be able to see the judgments delivered by the CCJ in its appellate jurisdiction. And for those of us who have been studying the law for some time, we are highly impressed with the quality of the judgments by the CCJ. One of these programs, I will dissect a particular judgment of the CCJ in which they strongly disagreed with the Privy Council on the question of the capital punishment procedures, but I will leave that for another time. I will come to it one of these days. Suffice it to say that I, of course, am an ardent supporter of the CCJ, but this week, everyone who is interested would get a chance to hear much more about that institution. Excuse me. Okay, let me wrap up now the topic for the evening, studying abroad. This is studying abroad, part 2. I prefaced my comments last week when I did part 1 by saying that I was not addressing those students who have already got experience in living and studying abroad. I am more addressing those who are going abroad for the first time. Especially those who have never lived outside of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for any length of time. A person going off to study for the first time will normally be a youngish person. And if you haven't lived outside St. Vincent and the Grenadines for any length of time, I mean, I'm not talking about a week here or no, living for some time, you will find the experience thrilling, but extremely challenging. Because for the first time in your life, you will be going away from home. The home where you've had the cocoon of the family relationships, where you would have been sheltered. Your circle of friends would be those friends you met either in school, at the primary school level, the secondary school level, the tertiary level, in churches and in organizations. But mainly you would have been accustomed to Vincentians, people of your own culture. But when you venture abroad to go in a totally different country, you will be living among people of a different culture. A country with laws, some similar to what we have here in St. Vincent and Grenadines, some different. A country where customs would be different, institutions would be different. That is the environment in which you would be going to study. So while you arrive with a sense of expectation and all the excitement and the adrenaline flowing, you have to be steady, sensible, and disciplined. Be very observant. Be quick to see, but very slow to speak, unless you are asking for explanations. Learn as much as you can about the new culture in which you would be a student as quickly as you can. You might be going to a very sophisticated place. Light years away from what you're accustomed to at home here in St. Vincent and Grenadines. You have to adjust yourself, you have to adapt yourself to the new environment. Above all, you have to keep at the forefront of your mind that you have gone to study. You haven't gone to spree, you haven't gone for nice time. You have gone to study to achieve a certain qualification or qualifications to prepare yourself for your future. Before you go to study, before you leave here, the institution to which you are going would have sent you back lots of literature, information, leaflets, letters. Please read them very, very carefully before you set foot out of St. Vincent. Read them very, very carefully. Take time out. Forget about going out, tonight with your friends to spree and so on. Read up all the materials which have been sent to you. Put it in your head so that you know what to expect, you know what is required of you. Don't wait till you reach there and then say, oh Lord, I didn't know I should do this. and you look and see something which they had advised you to do before you left. So make sure you know what the people have told you to do beforehand, or they tell you what to expect. Make sure you read that very, very carefully. And when you travel, you walk with that same literature so that you could revise from time to time. They might give you some warnings. And believe you me, you have to understand that you cannot trust persons you don't know until you get to know them. There are people who would set out to exploit you, knowing that you are new to the place, you are green, and probably in some ways naive, gullible, and you can easily be taken advantage of. So you guard against that. If when you travel there are other Vincentians going with you at the same institution, very good. Stick together with the Vincies until you develop new relationships among people whom you know you can trust. But stick together with persons you know for your own safety and protection and well-being. Student life is full of activities. There is hardly a night, if you go on a campus, where some organization on the campus is not having some function. Societies would be asking you to join them. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't join more societies than you have time to participate meaningfully. I mean, you must have your recreation, yes, but choose the societies on the campus you want to join very, very wisely. And be extremely careful about your time. You see, when you get lost from St. Vincent, lost from the home and so on, you arrive in a new environment as a student, you have all the time on your hands, so it seems. Nobody is there to tell you what hour to go to bed, how long to stay out. You can't go to the cinema. Nobody is there to police you. In that sort of way, you're on your own. And some people get intoxicated by this newly found freedom. All of a sudden, you break loose. And before you know it, the first term is finished, and you are behind in your assignments. And you figure, well, second term you'll catch up. And then the end of the second term or the second semester, you still haven't caught up, you're frantic. You can't do your best in your exams. You haven't done all your term assignments adequately. You haven't spent enough time in the library or in the laboratory, depending on what subject you have gone to do. So while you have apparently unlimited time, time flies. Now, if you go to a country where there are winters, and you have never experienced winter before, it comes as a bit of a culture shock, especially if the winters are biting winters. So, of course, the institution would have advised you on the kind of clothing which would be appropriate for you to get, but don't go wild in St. Vincent and buy a set of clothes. Wait till you go there, and then you'll see what is appropriate so I could shop wisely. And you have not gone there for fashion purposes. If you have one good, strong overcoat, that's all you need. You don't have to have 2 or 3 different overcoats. One. And one good overcoat could last you 3 years, 3 winters. You see, when you're there, nobody looks to see who is dressing and if you're dressing fashionable and so on. That's what little St. Vincent, when you go down the road and people look at you and say, but me see you in that frock there last week. You think people have you to study how you look when you go abroad? No, so don't waste your money buying unnecessary garments. In fact, don't buy unnecessary things. You'll find things very cheap. Gadgets, electronics, very cheap wherever you go. Don't be carried away. Whatever little money you have, put it up. Use it wisely. It is better people call you a cheapskate than for you to run out of money. Let them call you cheap, but you economize. Budget carefully. Especially if you're from a poor family who can't afford to be sending you money to supplement whatever scholarship monies you may be getting. Above all, as I said before last week, take the Lord with you. You may find that there are times when you become very lonely, you become a little homesick. As long as you have the Lord with you, you can't get too homesick because He is your refuge and your strength. He is your present time in danger. So if you have strong faith in the Lord and you have your prayer life in good shape, you find a suitable church or religious grouping to which you want to get attached, do that, but because you need to be rooted and grounded in some faith-based activity. But above all, my brothers and sisters, you have gone as a student. You have gone to study. Study hard, study well, and keep up the good name of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, because we may be small, but we have a reputation for producing outstanding scholars. You know how proud I felt a couple of years ago when on all three campuses of UWI, Jamaica, Trinidad, and Barbados, the same year, all the valedictorians were Vincentians. That is, the students singled out to make the feature address at the graduation. 3 of them were Vincentians at Mona, Cave Hill, and St. Augustine the same year. I was so proud. We have a reputation. We may be small, we may lack resources, but God has given us some intellect. Let us develop it to the benefit of ourselves, our families, and above all, our country. So, to those going abroad, I wish you safe travels, and I wish you productive sojourns in your new environment. Amen? Amen. So that is all from this edition of the Law and You, program number 911. I look forward to being a further service to you next week, Monday DV, for another presentation in this public service nation building series, The Law and You. Do have a pleasant week, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, boys and girls, and may the good Lord continue to bless us all, and may He bless our students abundantly as they go abroad to further their studies.
The Law and You, a look at laws in St. Vincent and the Grenadines which affect our daily lives. The Law and You, presented by lawyer panel P.R Campbell QC, and brought to you on SVG-TV as a public service.